The running is not for the faint-hearted, everyone. United are another game closer, another point closer. There are a mob of teams still breathing down our necks. And next up is the long-awaited game in hand that will tell us a huge amount about how this season is going to end. Hello and welcome to a review and preview show. We've got the 0-0 draw at Bromley to look over, and as I mentioned there, that huge game on Tuesday night against playoff chasing Grimsby. I'm joined by my good friend Tom Walker. How are the nerves, Thomas?
They're good. They're better than they were. I'm just wondering how far behind the curtain we show, because obviously we've said it's a preview show, which might lead people to think it's a Friday or a Thursday, but it's not. We're actually recording on a Saturday evening after the 3 p.m s.
That is throwing everything into the air, isn't it?
Yeah, so my nerves are better than they were before the 3 p.m s. Actually, I would say it probably peaked at my nerves. Not peaked. What's the opposite of peaked? Troughed. At around 5 o'clock, just after the full times came in, because I thought that's a good slate of results for us. Mostly, arguably, you'd have liked Salford to have dropped points as well, but such is life. And then since then, you start thinking about Tuesday, and all of a sudden you're thinking, ugh, it's not a pleasant thing to be looking forward to again. So yeah, it's okay. We're in a hell of a spot to go on and do it, but yeah, supporting us for too long to think it's going to be as straightforward as you'd like it to be, but yeah, enjoyable nonetheless, but nerves probably just starting to jangle.
It should be fairly straightforward, like you say, because it's all in our own hands. We've got 2 home games, basically. Win them both, and no matter what else happens, pretty much, we're up. I'm pretty sure that's right. I think even 4 points, there's still a pretty good chance that we're all but up. And we've got the best home form in the league, and we've only lost once at home all season, and yet... my brain just cannot compute that it would ever be that simple. Well, should we start there? Should we start with, like, as you say, it's 6 o'clock on a Saturday evening. We've just watched the 3 p.m. Should we start with sort of run-in chat and a bit of state of play? So Swindon kicked off early today at home to Aki. They went 1-0 down after 1 minute, then went 2-1 up and conceded a 90-something minute equaliser. So it kind of kicked off pretty well for us. MK went and won 3-1 at Crewe pretty convincingly. It looks at least they were 3-0 up. And then the big one, Barnet win 2-1 at Notts. I actually watched a good chunk of that game, and I thought Barnet were excellent, or at the very least, Notts didn't really offer much. So some extra sort of hope there in the fact that Notts aren't putting in brilliant performances at this point of the season. And then Salford, as you mentioned there, go and beat Oldham 2-1. They were 2-0 up in that. And as you say, there was like just a little moment, little flicker of hope, but wasn't to be in the end. So basically 2 teams around us winning in MK and Salford. And really, if you want to forget about MK and just concentrate on third spot, just Salford, who end up, well, they're a point behind us. So I'll do the league quickly. We're on 78 with plus 31 goal difference. Salford are on 77 with plus 8. Notts County on 76 with plus 21 and Swindon on 75 plus 16. So there's kind of a point between each of us now. How are you taking that for Saturday afternoon? Happy with where we're at? Feeling good? Nervous? Confident?
Yeah, I think so. I think the big one obviously is the Notts Barnet game, because that obviously leaves us in third, which is good. And it does mean that the maths is quite simple. If we win 2 of our last 3 games, we get promoted regardless of what other teams do, which is quite nice, I think, and quite nice to have it all totally in your own hands. I guess just of the pack, I think you're right. You do forget about MK. You obviously forget about Bromley, because they're now up.
Worth mentioning they got promoted today. Yeah, with that Notts County result. Yeah.
Yeah, so well done. Hope it was worth it. But yeah, they got there. And I think probably you're thinking now any shout, and obviously we'll chat about the game on Thursday night as well, but any sort of remaining hopes of the title probably vanished on Thursday night after we weren't able to beat Bromley. So it does all become about automatic promotion, and that probably means for us with MK's result all about third, which is fine. Second and third, I mean, it doesn't really matter. The only thing that really matters, I guess, is whether you go up automatically just generally, or can you go and make it champions. There's a lot of people that would argue that doesn't matter too much either, but for the sake of this, I guess you focus on third spot. Swindon, I'm not worried about, to be honest.
No, same. They've only won 1 in 5 now.
Not just because they're the furthest ones back, but as you say, they're on a pretty minging run of form. And,
it's exactly the same run of form that we're on. 1-1, drawn 3, lost 1. So
yeah, but they're worse.
Yeah.
And look, we've obviously seen Swindon in the flesh as well, and they were poor against us, and they've gone on to have a 2 or 3 difficult afternoons since then. So that's it. I think for Swindon, I just don't think they're going to put together 2 wins basically, and they need to catch us. So, or they need to, assuming that we pick up at least one. Notts, yeah, I think again, like we've seen them in the flesh as well, and obviously we absolutely battered them. I think that was on a day where we played very well as well. So it's probably more about us than it is about Notts. But them dropping points is good. I think it means that in terms of finishing above Notts, probably a point on Tuesday is not a bad result. And it's weird how quickly things changed. It wasn't that long ago we were thinking, don't worry about Salford, don't worry about them, and now they're the ones that sort of breathing down our necks a little bit. I look at their fixtures, which I guess it depends how you look at it, really, because I think Bromley at home and Crawley away, you might look at that in like February and go, tough ask. But you add the context into it that Bromley, there's a chance they might have been celebrating their promotion all weekend and into the week, which might give them a better chance. Arguably, they're playing Bromley, who are going for a league title, so that makes it more difficult. I don't really know how to call that one, to be honest, but like whatever it is that happens on Thursday night, it's a tough game, so we'll know before we play against Barrow exactly what we need to do to get promoted if we can do on that day. Crawley away, I look at that. I mean, again, I'm judging it just on the evidence of what I've seen of Crawley this season, and particularly recently when we went there. They're poor. I'd expect Salford to win that. So I think there's a reasonable argument that Salford win both their games. And that means that we need to get, 5 points to finish above them. The good thing for us is that goal difference is completely on our side, unless obviously the caveat is that we get battered somewhere or one of the other two sides hands out like a real battering. So that's a positive. And the old cliche is that's worth an extra point, which it absolutely is at this part of the season. So I think overall, like we're in a pretty good spot, and I'm tempted to just say exactly what we've said all season. Really, it's just like if we can do our bit, then you forget about the other teams. But the reality of the situation is that you're constantly checking, you're constantly changing your mind on how you feel based on what's happening around you. I think probably 4 points does it. Matt Caspel, listening to this, punch in the air to think that 82 points will be enough. He's been banging that drum for a long time, and he was poo-pooed, not least by me. And look, we're not there yet, but I do think that obviously you'd like to just do it by right, and you go and win your next 2 home games and just don't leave anything to chance. I think Grimsby's a really tough test because of where they're at and because of what they've got to fight for and because of how they're sort of riding at the moment. But if you can get something out of that game and let's say it is a point, and then you're going into playing 23rd placed Barrow. I know they've also got their own things to fight for, but they're 23rd in the league. You'd probably back that you can get a win from that game, and then it sets you up nice either to confirm promotion or to do it with a point at Crewe or something like that. So yeah, I guess it's all a roundabout way of saying that I am concerned about the other teams, and I'm sort of concerned about what they've got, but I'm thinking that it's just poised nicely for us to go and do it on our own terms, which is exactly what you'd want. And I guess factually, you'd much rather be in our position than Salford or Notts, and that's a good place to be in.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's also worth mentioning that I think Crawley still being involved in that relegation battle is probably a good thing for the last day of the season. Just something riding on it for them. I know you're right. I think they're a really poor side, but if they're a poor side, you'd rather them have something to fight for than nothing at all. As far as I'm concerned, they're currently 2 points above the drop line, which that relegation battle is amazing. To be fair, I know we don't speak about it a lot on the podcast, but Harrogate scoring a 90-something minute winner today against Colchester really spiced it up as well. And then the other thing with fixtures, I think worth mentioning there is Notts and Swindon's remaining one are like definitely the toughest. Swindon go to Grimsby and then host Chesterfield, who are 7th and 8th, and both on as good as form as anyone in the top half or in the whole league, really. And then Notts go to Colchester, who pasted Swindon the other week, and we know are a decent outfit, despite losing at bottom of the league, Harrogate. But it's a tough place to go. And then they host Bristol Rovers, who are the form team in the whole division. And Notts' form is kind of it's patchy at best, and that defeat today, I think, has probably really soured a bit the atmosphere there as well, which is an important thing to kind of bear in mind. And I can see their fans getting on their backs a little bit. So I think there's a pretty realistic world where even if you're going to be slightly let's say tentative about how Tuesday goes, we draw on Tuesday, let's say, against a decent Grimsby side, go 2 points ahead of Salford. Salford draw with Bromley. I think that's not unreasonable to think that even if you're right, I don't know how to call what Bromley do, but I think there is something to be said that they'll go for the title. And I think there's something to be said that the standards they've set all season, if you take a bit of pressure off them at this point of the season, they're still going to be a decent outfit. I think they're still going to be good side, and like Salford couldn't beat Gillingham at home the other week, couldn't even score against them, and we know all about Gillingham. So let's say that we both draw our next game on Tuesday, Thursday. There'll be 1 point between us, and then I think I'm right in saying we just beat Barrow, and that's 4 points between us, and good night. Job done, assuming Notts and Swindon don't win, which I'm not sure they would. So basically, I think there's a realistic world where we get promoted with 82 points on the board against Barrow, and then we can go into crew feeling nice and relaxed. But having said all of this,
Mate, if we're promoted on Saturday against Barrow, and then Crew away has nothing riding on it, but it's party time, we're not gonna be very relaxed. Come
no,
kick off.
that's true.
I think it'll be quite the opposite.
There's
All
this.
day just to enjoy it. That's scary.
There is this funny world, you mentioned about the title there, and obviously I don't think that's important because MK are 4 points ahead of us, and they play Tranmere at home, and I think it's Fleetwood away. So you'd expect, even if Bromley were to drop a lot of points from here, MK would probably pit them to the title before us. But it's funny that if we were worried about the title, we would want Salford to beat Bromley on Thursday, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's the only way it's actually possible. So it would also mean us kind of probably definitely going into the final day, not sure if we can get promoted, but also able to win the title, if you see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd rather not play that risk, is what I'm trying to say. I'd rather not
Yeah.
play that game.
When you paint those two pictures, you have to say that probably getting promoted against Barrow and not having a chance of winning the league is much more
much
preferable.
better. Yeah.
The last thing that we want is it to be totally bunched and
Yeah.
the table can change like within a moment, basically. But yeah, I think look, Salford have to be perfect now, don't they? Really,
Yeah,
because I think
they do.
it's tough to see us not getting 4 points from our remaining games. However that might come. Obviously, we're looking at that Barrow game, aren't we? As the one that you'd back yourself to go and win. And can we take 1 point from a Grimsby side to our look? A lot of what gets judged at this point in the season, and I say it every year, is like people always go, well, they need to win, that sort of thing. Doesn't mean they will, and less like obviously that that counts for ourselves as well. But like we're looking at a Grimsby game, we're looking at a Barrow game, going they'll be fighting for their lives because they've got everything to play for. That makes it a really difficult game. So have we, and we've been a much better side over the course of the season than either of those two. So look, there's obviously one world that you've just painted there where 4 points does it, and that's enough. There's also another very realistic prospect of we've got 2 home games. We've been immaculate at home all season, and you go and win those 2 games, and Salford can do whatever they want to do. Basically,
Doesn't matter.
that's the way it is. Tuesday's obviously huge. We'll come on to that. Obviously, it's a preview as well as a review. But I think look, the state of play is like it weirdly, even though it's kind of harder. Because we are going to have to go out and win one game probably. I'd be surprised if we could draw all our games and get promoted. Although I guess it's possible, but 81 feels too low. Like the last time we got promoted, obviously during the lockdown year, I think we needed 1 point from our last 3, and that felt a lot more nervy than I do now, which is so weird.
Yeah.
It's such a weird sentiment like that. Like maybe it's just kind of like the muscle memory of like we've kind of been there and done it before, and we actually remember how it feels. Whereas it had been 20 years since we won automatic promotion, 25 years since we won automatic promotion before that. I'd never seen it, for example. So I was like, how to feel like it's 1 point from 3 games, then you lose 2 of them and you're like, really clinging on. Whereas now it's like, we've been pretty good all year. We've basically just got to do what we've done all season, and we should be fine. And that's basically how it is. So hopefully that calms people down. I appreciate that I'm probably not the voice of calm that people are looking for at this sort of moment, but I guess my sort of mentality at the moment is chill out, should be fine. Emphasis on should, but let's see how it goes.
It's going to be fun on Tuesday, isn't it? I mean, we'll talk about it in a sec. Like
No,
you say, but
no, not at all. It's going to be horrible on Tuesday. It's going to be absolutely vile. I'm not looking forward to it at all.
This is a hobby, Thomas. This is supposed to be a hobby. It's supposed to be enjoyable. It is. I know. I'm fully with you. It's obviously like you're watching all these games and all these scores come in, and you're like on the edge of your seat, nervous. But it's an amazing point of the season to have something on the line for, isn't it? There's just every goal and how everything can change and all these permutations. I'm trying to look at it and like really enjoy it. But you're absolutely right. Kickoff on Tuesday is going to be a bag of nerves. But
it's
before
not really
that,
kickoff I'm worried about, to be honest. Kickoff's almost the least of my worries. It's more the idea that we've been through this time and time and time again, but it's just the idea that we're a goal up going into the 90th minute, and then then the nerves really do start jangling. But yeah, you're right. Probably actually it'll just be the whole day, the whole evening will just be miserable. But and unless we do win, in which case the last couple of hours of it might be quite enjoyable. But
Could be fantastic.
anyhow, we'll see how it goes.
We will see how that goes. Right, let's talk about last Thursday before we talk about this Tuesday. 0-0 draw at Bromley, at now promoted Bromley, as you said. Congratulations. Okay, try. I'm going to ask you if it's a point gained or two dropped because I'm a cliched podcast host. But also, when you try and do a summary of the evening now, try not to talk about the biggest talking point of the evening, which is a certain Mr. Lavery. And we'll talk about that separately in just a second. As on the context of the game itself, how do you think that point ranks?
I thought it coming out the ground, and it's really firmed up in my head over the last few days. I think it's a big missed opportunity. The way that the game went, and
Interesting.
look, Bromley are a really strong side. Obviously, they're the first in the division to be promoted, among the first in the country to be promoted. There's only two or three sides before them that across the divisions that obviously had that confirmed. So fair credit to them. They've been one of the best sides in the league all season. They'll probably go on and be crowned champions. And obviously at home they've been very good. They've not been beaten at home. I think we're only the second side there that's gone this season and kept a clean sheet. So that's a real accolade in itself. You can see why they are where they are, even if it's not pretty. It's not particularly progressive football. It's obviously effective, and it has been effective all season. And obviously, hopefully on Thursday it'll be yet more. It'll be effective one more time. But the way that the game went, the first half, realistically, we should be out of sight. We should be out of sight. And even in the second half, like I kind of forgot about it because I thought it was almost just like a game of two halves. Like first half, we beat them, we miss our chances. Second half becomes about defending and just clinging on to what we had. But actually, in the second half, we created two or three more really good openings. And yeah, I left the ground on Thursday, and obviously I was with you, and I said like, I think we should beat them. Like we were a better footballing side. We created the better chances, and I think we should have come out with all 3 points. So in that case, it's probably two dropped. But again, on the other hand, to be again cliched, I suppose you can say that you go away to top of the league with who have got an almost perfect home record with a point and a clean sheet, and you can't really turn your nose up at it too much. And I guess the way you frame it is like it could have been more, but it should hopefully just be one step closer, and that's kind of what it is really. Like you're not walking out of it thinking it's two dropped as it clearly as we were after Swindon or after Cheltenham, where it's like a real deep sense of frustration that we've not been able to get what our performance had probably merited. But you are thinking on another day, you probably walk out of here absolutely elated. And we're sat here talking about the running, we're sat here talking about what a Swindon going to do, what a Salford going to do, what a Notts going to do. If one of them chances goes in and you hold on to it, you're not thinking about that at all. In fact, we'd probably be basically there with like 1 or 2 points. So yeah, mixed bag. But I think overall, I'm thinking it could have just been more than what we got.
I think you're right that we did enough. I think that's a fair analysis, and I think doing enough at a side with the home record they've got, not just this season but this calendar year, as we've said. I mean, they literally just haven't lost at home. Full stop. I think you've got to look at it. I just think you have to see it as a good point. Personally, or sorry, that's how I'm seeing it, and I completely take all the points you just made about the chances we created. We definitely did enough to win the game, but I think it's something about the unique. I mean, can you think of a side who have such a unique way of approaching a football match and what they offer during a football match as Bromley? Because it's quite interesting, isn't it? Like the whole team is set up for set pieces, everything.
Yeah, I mean, look, we got to be a little bit careful. Like we got to be a little bit self-aware. Like, there's plenty of sides, there's plenty of managers that have come to the Abbey and that we've played away from home that will say similar things about us in the way that we set ourselves up, what we prioritise in our own approach to games. And look, it's different to Bromley, like it is. I think I do think in terms of an attacking performance, like we do try to be a little bit more progressive. Like it's not all about set pieces. Like we have been good from set pieces this season. It has been something we've used to good effect, and clearly our approach here, all season and what's really got us to this point is building around an absolutely rock solid platform, to use the word, and sort of building on that. Bromley, they're an interesting one, and I think if obviously they've gone up, and so I guess for them they'll start thinking about how are they going to fare in the level above next season. I think their home form will probably continue to be quite important. Will continue to be a big point of contention. I think away from home they'll probably struggle a little bit more, to be honest, because I just don't know. I think as you go up the divisions, like this stuff just gets this stuff just becomes less effective. Like you're playing against teams who find different ways to hurt you and are better at containing things like set pieces, which arguably should be a little bit more controllable. But I mean, the thing that strikes you about them, firstly, and this is the most basic thing ever, but they are absolutely gigantic. It's an
Couldn't believe it.
incredible thing.
It's like Mamadou Job's not a small man, but he's standing next to Omar Swimney, and it's like he's dwarfed him.
It's like we had to go and play an away game in Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen
it's
them
mad,
run.
isn't it?
They've got like 5 or 6 players in there who are above 6'5". It's mental.
It's mad, yeah.
It's so like even just like the word go, you're like, "Phew, it's a physical challenge if nothing else." And yeah, I mean, like we were having a little bit of a debate after the match about particularly Mitch Pinnock and obviously his delivery in, and you were like, "Oh, he puts it on a sixpence every time," and I was like. Kind of, but like his deliveries don't have to be that good. I'm not sure it's as good as like you guys thought it was afterwards. But like if you ping a ball into a box, there's like four blokes in there who are 6'4", 6'5". Eventually something's going to land, and it nearly did on a couple of occasions. To be fair, I've just talked about chance creation. Their XG was slightly higher than ours actually on the evening, which suggests they created better chances. But there was a couple of moments where it's just like pinball in the box from set pieces, and that's probably where it's come from. But yeah, I mean it's a unique approach to games, and obviously it's paid dividends for them. And the reality is that, the entertainment factor of football, particularly this level, is defined by results. I think, you look at the debate around the Premier League at the moment and how that's going. Arguably, that's a bit more defined by style and how do you win games and how do you win trophies and how do you win titles. I think at our level, it's like if you win games, like no one really gives a shit, do they? So if it's effective, then fair credit to them. Thankfully, we managed to keep them out. I think on the night, it's probably two teams that were probably not unhappy with a point. To be honest, I still think that Bromley would have been determined and a little bit unhappy not to have done it on their own terms, on their own patch, on their, basically win it themselves. But they're up. They're probably not that bothered about it at the moment. Like we said, we're recording 6:30 on a Saturday evening, party time for them. So I think they'll be fine with that. But yeah, interesting approach. But I think credit to us really, like credit to our particularly our back four, back five, or back six, I suppose, with Walton and the centre halves and the wing backs in there. Because it just became what you probably expected it to be, which is a real battle. And plenty of sides haven't stood up to it. We did, and we come out of it with a point, which is a lot more than plenty of other teams have at that ground this season. So, yeah, all good. And on to the next.
I just want to mention the Mitch Pinnock thing. I'm glad you brought it up. You're right. I was probably exaggerating about putting it on a sixpence every time. I think the point I would make about him, though, is it's like if you've got all of those aerial threats, at least on the evidence of that game and from what I can remember, I don't remember him putting in one bad ball. I don't remember him completely missing everyone in the box or hitting the first man, which we see from our corner takers, set piece takers constantly. I feel like maybe I'm just overanalyzing ours, maybe he just had a good night, but he's created 40 odd more chances than the next player in the division. So I feel like it's probably a consistent thing throughout the season that not only have you got the weapons in the box, but you've got the weapon to be able to use it, if you see what I'm saying, with Pinnock, who it's more just the fact that he gives them a chance every time. He gives them an opportunity to attack it. And I think sometimes I've seen some of our set piece delivery being just lacking a little bit of like, there's always a question if it's even going to get into the right area for someone to attack in the box. So that's the thing I thought was impressive with him personally. And then obviously the threat in the middle is just ridiculous. Let's go pre-kickoff. Tom, big news pre-game. Lavery starting 2 games in a row. Harris absolutely playing everyone for fools, saying he might not start another game for us again this season. Wax him in the next lineup. Try your best to take hindsight out of the equation, but obviously it's hard not to, or try and maybe like not take the answer with outcome bias. But was it the right time to roll the dice on him, do you think?
Well, the problem with it is it is all totally outcome based.
Of course it is. Yeah.
It's just the way it is, and it's also hard to speak about the lineup without speaking about what happened during the game with Lavery, who obviously comes off with an injury, looks like a recurrence of what's happened before. And look, it might turn out that he's okay and he can be back in the squad on Tuesday night, and he's ready to play a part again this season. His reaction when he went off the pitch would say otherwise. He looked absolutely gutted, and we'll speak about Lavery specifically in more detail, I'm sure. But to me, it was a real surprise. It was probably a surprise to a lot of people. I felt when the team sheets came out, I felt it was a big risk, a big gamble. To be honest, it felt like when you include him against Notts County in a game like that, it's a risk worth taking because it feels like the opportunity is there, and it felt like a good moment to put him in. It always felt like a bit of a stretch with him being with him starting again at Bromley. And to be honest, because the way that we play and the way that we've played, particularly in the sort of first part of this year, as in January and February, with Apre in the side playing like that, look, I don't rate Apre particularly highly, to be honest. He certainly doesn't offer anywhere near as much of a goal threat as Lavery does. But I think for an occasion like Bromley away, I don't think it would have been a bad move to start Apre, but Lavery starts. And look, the reality of it is that he contributes in a couple of moments to chances where we probably could score. Obviously, he hits the bar himself with a really, really good header that shows all the quality that he's got, and obviously can't quite guide it in. He then plays a part in obviously Ben Knight going through on goal, who unfortunately puts it just wide. And the reality is, like, if one of those chances goes in and we do win the game, even if he pulls up with an injury, you go, well, look, it is a risk, and it's not, paid off in terms of Shane Lavery's fitness, but it's paid off in terms of the result. So, yeah, unfortunately, everything's hindsight, everything's outcome based. But you look at the next three games and you think, would you back yourself to take a point from Bromley without Shane Lavery on the pitch? Probably, to be honest, because of the way the game became in the second half, and it's all about keeping them out and standing up to a test rather than going and winning the game on your own terms. Would you rather have Shane Lavery available for you for 20, 30 minutes for the next three games? Yeah, I think so. But it's not. But like it's not the way. It's not the way to. What was it Harris said in the season? Sometimes that's the way the apple crumbles.
Yeah, something like that.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that's kind of what it is really. But I think above anything, like, you just gutted for him. Like, you're so
Yeah,
gutted for him
definitely.
because it just feels like, and obviously it's a conversation I'm sure has been had plenty of times, but basically since he signed for us, it feels like every time he's just got up and running and just proved himself as a really big figure in the team, this happens. And that maybe has longer term ramifications for him and what happens next with his playing or where he plays his football. But yeah, for us it's gutting. For him it's gutting. But yeah, it's just a gamble that on the night unfortunately didn't quite pay the results we'd have liked.
I kind of understood the gamble. I'm not sure I'd have done it myself, but I feel like if you think about what the answer is to the solution to how to get through or trouble a Bromley side with these 6'9" centre halves, play the ball on the deck, play it fast around them, playing behind them. That the theory was there, and the theory worked. Like, you saw it, not pay off. Sorry, it didn't pay off, but you saw it in action. You saw Knight getting behind. You saw Lavery and the little intricate touches and zipping it around in front of the big centre halves, and that was what was really troubling them. And exactly as you just said there, like, I'll echo that sentiment that if we take one of those chances, you probably think, and Lavery goes off injured, and we win the game 1-0, you think, brilliant, gamble paid off. The theory was all correct. Just life didn't really go that way, and we weren't clinical enough in those moments, which is probably becoming a little bit of a really unfortunate theme in maybe our whole season, really, to be honest. And not having Lavery for the last few games is not going to aid that, which is probably the biggest sort of anxiety in my head talking about Grimsby, Barrow, and Crew is the fact that we are going to probably be doing it with two strikers. But talking about Bromley specifically, I think it was a gamble, and it's just not paid off. But I kind of respect the idea that the approach that Harris took to that game, and kind of the aggressive nature of, like, this is the way we'll win this game, as if Lavery plays, and it should have paid off in my opinion, because those chances first half, Tom, let's talk about all three. I mean, there's the Knight one, which from the away end is just like, it's agony, because you can see him, he takes a brilliant first touch in his stride. The second one's just too heavy, but he still gets there, and he tries to chip it over the keeper, and it drifts wide. There's a game recently where he had a really similar chance, not Swindon, but there's another one where he clipped it wide like that. I don't know if you can remember it off the top of your head. I was racking my brains for it earlier.
He
But
did have
anyway,
a really similar chance against Swindon where he just found himself through on goal. And
that one the keeper smothered, right, from a memory,
yeah,
rather than it going wide.
arguably the one against Swindon was a harder chance than this one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
pretty
there's the,
galling.
the ball one, and then there's Lavery's header, which he does brilliant to reach. And kind of once he's reached it, he might think he should get it on target, but it clips the bar and goes over. So of those three, is there one that's kind of stuck with you in the 48 hours since?
Yeah, it's a night one. It's a night one for me. I think
Yeah, me too.
purely because, like, we've absolutely carved them open as well. By the way, it's a really, really good move. And we just talked about Bromley's approach from set pieces. I mean, we've not necessarily been at our free flowing best, probably often enough in an attacking sense this season. But this was one moment where we have basically taken apart the potentially champions elect. And yeah, I mean, look, you're you're right to say about his first touch, which is brilliant, and it's the sort of touch that is sort of typified what Ben Knight's done over the last few weeks and last few months, really, because he's shown a level which has been so good. Wait a minute, Pep Guardiola there. That was weird. But yeah, like it's a second one, which, as you say, is just a little bit heavy, and it probably limits his options a little bit because he probably just has to try and poke it past the keeper. Whereas actually, if his second touch was a little bit softer, just a little bit more, a little bit cuter, he has two options. One of which, well, three, I suppose. One of them, he has a little bit more time to take his shot. He can either take it round the keeper, or he can just tee up Lavery, who's rushing on and keeping pace with him really well. And I think that's what he should have done. I think that's what if he could have done that, it's an empty net for Shane Lavery, and that's 1-0. So yeah, that's the one. I think the ball one is. I actually think Ball's probably not going to do too much better with that chance. Really, I don't think. I'm not sure how much better he could have done with it because it comes at him quite quickly. It's not an ideal height, and obviously he just has to kind of take the shot in his stride really, and obviously it goes just past the post. But it comes from Bennett cutting in on the right hand side. Again, brilliant work from Lavery, by the way, to set that up. A nice little back heel. Bennett obviously does well to hold off his man, cuts inside. And for me, it's less about Ball's finish and more about the options in the box. I feel like there must have been another angle he could have taken, or could he just hold that pass just for a second in case someone else can open themselves up, like Mayer's absolutely free at the back post. But it's probably not as clear cut a chance as the Knight one. And then the Lavery one, I think it's a really good delivery in the box, but it's all about Lavery's movement. It's all about him just like timing the header really well. And you're right to say that once he gets there, he probably will be a little bit disappointed that he's not found the top corner, to be honest. But it's a really good header, and again, it's just one of those moments where, like, you don't back any other player in our squad to even make anything from that. So yeah, frustrating. I mean, in their own right, like, they're all really good opportunities, and probably you could argue that they should all go in the back of the net. But it's the Night one for me, just says, yeah, it's just if that second touch can just be a touch better, literally just a slight bit better, like 2-3% closer to him, he probably scores himself or sets up Lavery.
It's also the angle from the away end. It's just that
Yeah,
it's
'cause it rolls past the other post, isn't it? And you're
exactly,
not quite
yeah.
sure.
So you're just waiting for that net to rustle as it sneaks in, and you're just like, oh yeah, that's that you're waking up in the middle of the night with in a cold sweat thinking about that chance. But yes, I completely agree with all of that. The other end of the pitch, I mean, there was a bit of an aerial bombardment second half. I've just looked at the stats. They had 15 shots, only one on target though. It is quite mad. You guys talked about it after the Notts game that obviously we'd gone back-to-back games without conceding a single shot on target, somehow conceding a goal in that time at Cheltenham. But also, if you look at the last 5 games, or going back to Barnet, only Swindon have had more than one shot on target against us, which is quite mad when you think about it. Like, we're basically conceding over a number of games now one or less shots on target, and that includes away at the league leaders. So there's a lot to be said for that. But do you just want to talk about the defence for a minute? Because I think we've mentioned how huge the physical offering of Bromley's whole team, really, even up to Nicky Kwamba up top. But Job and Watts, I thought, were magnificent, and Gibbons as well, typified a lot of what we've been in terms of our defensive resilience this season with some huge blocks. And then Jack Wharton in goals, a huge save towards the end, which I think looks even better on the highlights than it did in person. Wharton did quite well, I thought, for what was a difficult situation to come into.
Yeah, I think with the goalkeeper, like, it is really difficult, like, to be basically airdropped into a team a day or two's notice, a day's notice, I think it was. And putting that sort of performance was great. Like, you're right to say that when the moment came, he stood up to it. He obviously made a really good save and was a good presence in the box. Came and punched a couple of times the ball out, which is a scenario which would cost us at Cheltenham. So that's obviously really good from him. The three centre backs were just terrific. I mean, you could basically pick any one of them and make a decent case them being our best player. I think Watts was, for me, probably the standout, to be honest. Just looked so assured, just battled really well, and not. I mean, it sounds mad, like, you look at someone like Job, who's not a small lad himself, but like, physically they're all probably smaller than their direct opposition. They're probably all expected to get out muscled and out battled and out fought. but I think they just stood up to the test really, really well. And it's not a coincidence now, is it? Really, like that we're just better at standing up to these tests than other teams. They're drilled so well. They clearly know each other's game really well as well. And yeah, they'll just put in really strong performances, and it's kind of exactly what you need, really. This is one of those games where, like, we just talked about the chances, and it's like the first half is probably the opportunity to go and win the game, particularly once Lavery comes off. It's like, all right, we've said it on a few occasions this season, so it's probably wearing a little bit thin. But if you can't win it, don't lose it, and that relies on particularly the three centre backs and the goalkeeper, but probably the centre mids and the wing backs as well. The whole team, I suppose, because, like, again, cliche, but you do defend from the front a little bit in these games, in these situations. But it does rely particularly on the back three and the goalkeeper standing up to what was an incredible amount of pressure to be put under in the second half, just in terms of deliveries into the box alone. So, yeah, fair credit to them. All of them very good. And as much as we can look at missing Lavery or presumably missing Lavery for the next three games, and that's a reason to be a little negative or maybe doubt our chances. You look at our defensive record, particularly at home, but increasingly away from home as well, and you back us to keep 2 clean sheets in the next 3 games. And if you do that, like, probably you just have to score. You might only have to score 2 goals to get promoted. So yeah, they were good at Bromley. I would like to think they can stand up to it again against Grimsby, because they've got their own threats. And yeah, we've talked so many times this season about the back three and the sort of defensive unit, and that is going to be the thing that's going to win us promotion at the end of the day. So yeah, we just need to see it again a few more times.
Kel Watts also has our big chance in the second half, which I was convinced was Job, but according to FOTMob, that header, you remember the one sort of towards the end that was well saved, to be fair, but do you make the argument that Watts should maybe make it harder for him to save, if that makes sense? He kind of puts it in the one area that the keeper's going to be able to tip it over, even if it is still a decent stop.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, it all kind of felt like slow motion a little bit. Again, like, you find yourself going, if that was Lavery, that sort of thing. But Watts himself has become a bit of a fox in the box himself over the last few months. So yeah, I think you're right. I think, like, it is a good save. Like, it is a good the keeper will be happy. But if you're being critical, which I think we can afford to be, you're thinking, well, actually, probably Watts should make him work harder for it at least, and probably should take it sort of away from the keeper even more. And if you can just find one of the corners, it's a goal, probably. And at that point, you back yourself to go and win the game.
Yeah, but that was it. Wasn't to be. So we settled for the point. We shook hands. As we said on the preview, we'd all shake hands for a point. I think, to go back right to the top of the first question I asked you, I think you're right to mention that with all those opportunities we just spoke about, we can feel like we did do enough to win the game. They might say similar. That big save from Walton, Halloumi had a big chance first half, which he hit so hard into the ground that it bounced over the goal, but over the top of the bar. So they had their own chances, and I think a neutral watching it might think that a point is a fair result, and that is what it was. That leaves us where we are, as we've spoken about at the start. Let's go on to Tuesday then. I think we should start with a preview from View From The Findus to tell us a bit more about Grimsby Town. Right then, under the Abbey Stand listeners, delighted to be joined by Dave from View From The Findus. I was going to say under the Findus there, but that's our podcast at 7 p.m. on a Sunday. Thanks for joining, mate.
Pleasure. That's where the bar is in the Findus, so I can be often found there after the match.
Exactly. Fantastic. How are you? How are the nerves going into Tuesday?
Oh, I feel like I've been transported back to our epic escape from the National League in 2022. The big games just keep on coming, don't they? And yeah, down and out on Tuesday after losing at Chesterfield. Probably our closest rivals for that last spot in the playoffs. And then, elation again after a great win yesterday, so on Saturday. So, yeah, it's in the balance. Who knows? It's 3 huge games and then potentially three more huge games, isn't it? So
yeah,
we shall see.
Exactly. What's the story from Saturday? Obviously, looked like pretty convincing win. Is the scoreline the story of the match, really?
Yeah, we got ourselves in front. We were pegged back, and then. you hear about teams being on the beach this time of year, don't you? I don't know if Gillingham got the all-inclusive bracelets out or something, and that was it on the hour mark. We just seemed to suddenly dominate and really put them to bed. Our big senior players stepped up, each grabbing a goal. Some lovely play and some really incisive passing to create a couple of the goals. And a great one. And I'm sure, travelling back up from Gillingham, they'd have been quite happy to stop at Cambridge on route and get it on again, because that momentum you feed off, don't you? But it's third away game on the bounce, so there's a lot of miles going in. Hopefully we'll be fresh enough for Tuesday night to put in a decent performance and see what we can do.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that, because it's obviously, was it Chesterfield away, Gillingham away, and then Cambridge away? Is that something that worries you a little bit going into Tuesday, the freshness and the legs?
It does a little bit, yes, because sort of last Tuesday, the Chesterfield away game, I didn't feel like we really got going, and out of possession we were appalling. We really were. Chesterfield cut through us quite easily. We didn't seem to be able to hold the ball, and we got outrun, outpassed, outfought, and that we sort of came off the back of that feeling really demoralised. Gillingham, obviously different kettle of fish in terms of opponent. They've got nothing to play for. 1-0 up, I thought, great, that's excellent. And then they peg it back. You think, have we got enough? Because again, it's a big journey south for us to Gillingham. Have we got enough to go and do that? And they showed, in fine style. And I just hope that the adrenaline from that and the momentum will make up for any tiredness. And I'm sure they'll be doing very, very little in between. It'll be, shaking it off, won't it, and loosening up, and that'll be it. But we shall see. The games keep coming. A victim of our own success with League and Cup earlier in the season, and then the international break, which cost us the replayed Cambridge game, the first rescheduled game, didn't it? So, yeah, you've got to play what's in front of you, and yeah, we've got to be ready. We've got to be. You haven't got a choice this part of the season, have you? Yeah,
I guess there's kind of two ways to sort of spin it, isn't there? There's either the fact that there's the physical tiredness, but then there's also maybe the sort of momentum that you can keep rolling through game after game at this point in the season. And like you say, you've just got to keep going. What sort of system do you normally set up with for, a lot of United fans listening will have, last time they would have watched you would have been way back in the start of September,
wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That last minute penalty, I think it was, up at your place.
Yeah, we actually missed the penalty and we scored the rebound, didn't we? Because we've had a thing of missing penalties. I think we managed to score 12 out of 13 against Man United, and then we've really struggled in our league games. I think we've got about a 50 success rate. So yeah, if you one-on-one, on Tuesday night, if you one-on-one and you're not sure, it might be worth hacking the player down.
Play the odds, yeah.
We've not been brilliant from 12 yards, although slightly better from further. We play 4-1-4-1. Or 4-5-1, however you want to look at it. Very possession based. We like to get the fullbacks involved into the midfield and overload a little bit, which makes us slightly vulnerable on transition. But we have confidence in the way we play the ball. We tend to play better against teams who want something out of a game as well. A low block or going away to a team that's struggling or not really. Really fighting for it does cause us a problem sometimes. But yeah, we on our day we will pass it and play decent football with the best of them.
Do you think the secret to beating this Grimsby side is low block, sitting behind the ball and kind of try and catch you on the break?
It could well be, but then Cambridge, it's all to play for you guys as well, isn't it? You've got your eyes firmly focused on the two remaining spots, is it in the top three there?
2-1, something like one of those, yeah.
So it's a cracking game. It really is set up perfectly, isn't it? And so I can't imagine either team would really be tentative about what they're doing. They're going to have to go for it, and you always feel like the responsibility's on the home side, don't you, to go out and do it? But we don't sit back. We Dave Artell is very strong in his message that we go out and we play to win, and it's weird because the way the fixtures have fallen now, Tuesday night becomes almost a free hit for us because we play Swindon at home on Saturday, and then Swindon play Chesterfield on the final day of the season. And so those, if we beat Swindon, they and we beat Tranmere, there's no way that either of those two teams can finish with more points than us. So it's an interesting.
That is what an interesting little quirk of the fixture list.
It is, yeah.
Obviously,
it relies on us winning games, but and if we were fortunate enough to get something at Cambridge, then we'd be perfectly poised. We'd be bringing other teams into it. But it's a really delicate balance. We've got to go out and win the games that those two games anyway. And if we can get something from Cambridge, fantastic. But it's not the be all and end all, thankfully, because that if we had to come to Cambridge and had to win to stay in it, then I think that'd be it's a very big ask against a team that's done very well all season.
Yeah, very interesting. That does sort of maybe change things a little bit, because I guess for us, the position we're in, the game in hand has kind of been our trump card. Again, not a disaster because we are in that top three, but this is the chance to really, we can then get promoted on Saturday. So I think maybe, there is a bit more onus on us to go and play rather than sit in, which maybe would have been Neil Harris's a bit more conservative sort of game plan. What about sort of players to look out for if you're scouting for Harris? Who are the key men in the Grimsby side?
Yeah, I would. Kieran Green, the captain, attacking midfielder, having a fantastic season. It was the first time we scored double-figure goals from midfield for a long time. He really is he's come on leaps and bounds really under Dave Artell. He was sort of a defensive midfielder when he arrived, and he obviously spotted something fairly quickly and played him up much further up the pitch. And he's got the legs, he's got the engine, he's developed the touch, and now his aerial presence is quite important as well. He's scored, I would say, at least a third of his goals with his head. And we've got Andy Cook now on loan for the rest of the season from Bradford. And he's feeding him nicely as well. So he's a really, really strong asset. Obviously, Andy Cook, doesn't really need an introduction to this level of football. He's scored, goals in the hundreds in League Two. Big, strong striker. He's a handful to any defender. And then Charles Vernon, very lucky to have him back. Whether he starts or he might just be from the bench because he's just coming back from injury. But again, he's had his best season of his career probably with us this season. I think it's his third spell with Grimsby Town. He's a fairly local lad, but he's gone away, come back again, gone away, come back. And this season, he almost signed for Swindon at the start of the season. He didn't, fell through, and he's just been a revelation. He's stayed fit, which has been a big challenge for him throughout his career. And he's, barring this sort of minor injury that he picked up over the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks ago, he's done really well. I think he's in double figures assists, double figures goals, and a real threat on the left, although he's right-footed, so he cuts in and looks to shoot or gets to the byline and tries to cut back. So, lively attacking, and then we've got a young central defender, right centre-back, Maldini Kakuri. He signed, great name, Albanian, signed from Arsenal, again in the January window, and he's really brought another dimension to our defending. He's really, really strong on the ball, but plays it and brings it forward. Really complemented the team. So, we're in fairly good shape before the latest additions, but just 2 or 3 good transfers came in. We were struggling at the back. It's interesting we play Cambridge actually because is Jake Eastwood back from suspension? I know you kept a clean sheet on the weekend, so.
Well, that's kind of a topic for discussion. I mean, I would assume that he's back from suspension, but we've still got emergency linekeeper in the building, from what I understand, and kept a clean sheet against Bromley, and he played really well. I would suspect Eastwood goes in, though. I mean, he's played 42 games this season and makes one or two mistakes. I think the faith would be with Eastwood, who obviously saved that penalty up at your place and actually made a bit of a knack of that. He's saved 3 this season.
He was with us, obviously, the season before, and...
I remember he didn't get the best reviews, I've got to say, when you joined.
He had a really nasty injury, cut his knee open at Carlisle, and then he was out of the team for a bit, and he came back and he played the back end of last season, and he did look a lot better and a lot sharper. And I think if he'd been in contract, we had a keeper who was under contract and Eastwood who wasn't. And I think if it had been the other way around, he'd have been retained and he'd been our number 1 this year. But because he was out of contract, he went, but we ended up actually getting the other guy out of the building as well, who went to Newport, and it's not gone amazingly for them. So yeah, we ended up having to go into the transfer market to bring in a guy called Christy Pym, who started well, but then made a few really bad errors that cost us some big points before Christmas. We dipped into the emergency loan market and then managed to sign the emergency loan till the end of the season, Jackson Smith from Barnsley, and he's been in goal since. And he's quality, good, really good with his feet, and a good shot stopper too. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Jake plays, because I think a lot of Town fans were very supportive of me. He just had a little bit of a poor run maybe earlier in the season, then got his injury, but came back strong and was a big part of our sort of faint push for the playoffs last year.
Well, it's a bit more than a faint one this year, at least, isn't it? For you guys.
Progress, yeah.
How do you see the game panning out, and what's your prediction?
I would probably take a draw now, I think, but we do well against teams above us. We've gone to MK and won. We've gone to Walsall when they were doing well and won. We've gone to Salford and won. So I won't mention Bromley, but that wasn't so good. But I think a point would be amazing. It's got to be in your favour, really. The way you go in, the form you're on at home. But you travel in hope, if not expectation, don't you? So we'll see.
And was there a score prediction in there, or can I push you for one?
Yeah, I'll go 1-1. Go.
Okay, nice, good. Well, look, best of luck, obviously, after Tuesday in the run for the playoffs, and hopefully see you next season in League One, not in League Two, for both our sakes.
That would be incredible, because I promised my wife a weekend away in Cambridge for the original fixture, but obviously it didn't happen, did it? So
yeah.
So to have that sort of back end of September or something, that would be amazing.
That would be perfect. Well, fingers crossed for you, mate. Cheers for speaking to us.
All the best. Thanks for your time.
Thanks very much for that. Big game in hand, this one. It's the one we've been waiting for. But we are playing a team in pretty good nick, Tom. They're 4th in the last 5 form table, 6th in the last 10. 2 points off the playoffs currently. They just went and won 4-1 at Gillingham. Read into that what you want to. Obviously, we have played Gillingham ourselves and know that maybe is not quite as impressive as it seems on paper. A win at the Abbey would put them in the playoffs, so the carrot is there for them to go and grab. How are you feeling about it from a purely footballing perspective as a 90-minute matchup?
Pretty nervy, I think. Grimsby will be well up for it as well. Like their situation is kind of similar to ours, really, in that they're in a good spot to go and get the playoffs, but probably if they want to do it, they're going to have to win this game. Well, maybe not have to win the game, but they need to take something from it. I mean, obviously they're currently outside the top 7, so they'll probably arguably have to win the game more so than us, and probably a point wouldn't be a disastrous result for us. Obviously for them, that'd leave it out of their hands, which is not ideal if you're going into the last couple of games of the season. I think with this game, the thing that concerns me more than anything is just the fact that they've got threats just all over the park. We've obviously just come through a game like Bromley pretty well, where we were able to contain is probably a little bit too strong, but we were able to stand up to such a big test, and it's kind of, you got to go again now, really. Cook is a brilliant striker at this level. I think he's finished top scorer on 2 or 3 occasions already over the last few years. Cabby is a player that's scored goals fairly regularly this season. They've got Vernon, who's a really good player as well. All of them scored at Gillingham today as we record. So they're a team on form. They're a team who still have a real shout in the top 7 race to go for. And I just think the game will be won or lost based on how well can we stand up to that challenge again. I think the fact that the results went the way they did today for us is a real positive, because that means that it's not a game where we're going to have to win to get back in the top 3, or it's not a game that we're going to have to win to keep it in our own hands or anything like that. If we take a point from the game, I think you probably, you want to go out and win it, of course. But if that is what happens, it probably suits us fairly well, I think. Then it's like just go and beat Barrow and hope the results around you go for you either during the week or on Saturday. So yeah, I think it's a big opportunity though. It's a really big opportunity. I mean, we mentioned it a couple of times, but 2 wins from our remaining games promotes us. And if you can go and win on Tuesday, it sets you up for a brilliant Saturday afternoon at the Abbey, and then it will be more talk of the Abbey delivering as coined by our good mate Liam Camp. So yeah, look, we'll have to see. It's a really, really tough test, but we've come through bigger tests than this, over the last few weeks. You think of Notts County, the way we played there, the way that we battled at Bromley, even the way that we played against Swindon, for example. I know the thing that people will probably be worried about is missing Lavery and having to rely on someone like Appere. And as much as we've given him our fair share of criticism over the last few weeks for maybe not being as lethal in the box as we might like, we've basically got to where we are with Appere being the main cog in the sort of front part of the machine. Lavery's only started twice, obviously with Bromley, in the since the turn of the year, and probably even before that as well. Appere's been like a big player for us over the last few months, really. All right, he might not have chipped in with as many goals as you'd like, but he's certainly been a part of a team that's got into this position. So I don't think it worries me as much as maybe it could do. But yeah, I think if we can just keep a clean sheet here, you'll walk away pretty happy regardless.
Speaking of Liam Camp, he's dining out off our mention of him repeatedly saying the Abbey always delivers. I actually just
He always picks me up on it. He's he's very specific about the criteria that lead to that thing, like that situation happening, which is fair. Like, you don't want to, you can't chuck these phrases about willy nilly, but but like, I do understand it. But if we do win on Tuesday night, then Saturday will be a game, I think, like that, and I'll happily debate him on that and debate anyone on that, to be fair, because if we need a win against Barrow and we go and deliver it, then the Abbey has quite factually delivered. But yeah, big test before that to come.
Speaking of Liam Camp dining out, he's literally just texted me saying I'm in the Old Spring enjoying happy hour and a skepasti, which is fantastic timing. So obviously, if you want to be like Liam Camp, get yourself down to the Old Spring, our sponsors for the season. By now, happy hours 6 till 7, half price pints there, and you can get £15 Matchday Meal Deal. You can get a skepasti, fish and chips or burger, and a pint of any kind for £15. Anyway, back to the football. The point you were making there about Appere, absolutely correct, that him starting is not necessarily the thing that might worry people. The question is, Tom, what we have been doing in that entire run, is at 60, 65 minutes, take Appere off, bring Lavery on. In that moment, if I give you three options, do you keep Appere for 90 minutes? I know it's obviously game dependent, but like, just as a broad point, do you keep Appere on for 90 minutes? Do you do Nevitt for Appere, or would you maybe do something like a Kai up top and change a player in behind, like a Brophy or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, the obvious cop-out answer to this is that it's totally game state dependent, isn't it?
It is.
I think like if you're chasing a goal, it just feels so counterintuitive to take off a centre forward and put like someone who you would probably previously box as a winger in there. So there's that. I think Harris has been quite clearly very reluctant to use Nevitt, so I don't think that we're suddenly going to change that up and start playing him for half an hour or even more. So I think it'll be maybe try and change the shape around it, try and change the players that are behind someone like Appere. But like, I think it's more about how is he going to set up. I would be surprised if there's too many more changes than just simply Appere coming in for Lavery, to be honest. Although I think like we've not seen a whole load of Brophy recently, and I do think he's a player that has contributed really well throughout the season, so I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see him come in. But yeah, I think in terms of changing it up, like, look, factually our options are limited, unfortunately, at the moment, and this is a conversation we had following the summer, and it's a conversation we had following January, is that maybe if we are going to fall short at any point in this season, then it might come down to not quite having enough firepower up top, and that's kind of where we're at the moment, really. So obviously we hope and we think and we probably back, I think, collectively, that we do have enough, and we will have enough to get at least 4 points or 5 points from the remaining games. It should see us over the line, but if we don't, it'll be so easy to just look back at those two windows and think, well, we've just left ourselves a bit short of options in these scenarios. We've relied a little bit too much on Lavery staying fit or CUFC coming back and making an impact when he obviously had a serious injury himself. And unfortunately, it's just not quite materialised like that. So, yeah, unfortunately, options are a bit limited. But I just think Harris is unlikely to tear it up and start doing things wildly differently at this point, because we've kind of got to where we are based on his management. So, yeah, I think it'll be a little bit more of the same.
Let me give you a positive theory, or a theory that should sound positive for United fans listening, and I want to get your take on whether you think I'm clutching at straws or not. Two things. First of all, 2 extra days rest for us compared to Grimsby. Is there anything in that? And the second thing is not just that. Grimsby are they played Tuesday as well because it's obviously it was them that triggered the postponement of the fixtures in the international break at the end of March, which actually is the second time this fixture has been postponed. And actually, by the way, this is the fixture that a lucky Coconut Tier member won hospitality for. I need to check in with them, make sure that they've had it postponed twice now. Make sure that they're still going on Tuesday. A hell of a lot more nervy than when it was originally slated for back in January. Anyway, Grimsby have played Tuesday, Chesterfield away. Today, at the time of recording, Saturday, Gillingham away. And then they come to us, obviously on Tuesday. A, that's a lot of travelling. And B, a lot of fixtures with 2 less rest days than us. Are you reading anything in that as a big positive for us or not? Or am I clutching at straws a bit?
Maybe a little bit, to be honest. I don't know. I guess time will tell, really. I don't know. I think at this point in the season, like weird things just happen, and people just find a way to get themselves through that sort of fixture pile up. A lot of them will probably be quite used to it as well. I guess like Saturday, Tuesday. Like a lot of Grimsby's team are fairly experienced at the lower levels. They'll know what that's like. But it might do, and. I guess like a big win at Gillingham probably helps them a little bit because if that had been, more of a grind, like it looks like in the end they ran out pretty comfortable winners, pretty easy winners. So it might not have been quite as much of a strain on the mentally or physically as it otherwise might have been. Because if you go to Chesterfield, and it's sort of life or death with them for 90 minutes. I think they missed the penalty late on, so it feels like that was a game that they were really gunning for right until the end. If they had done the same at Gillingham and then they come to us, I think it's probably another story. Because I'd be fairly confident saying we'll make it a pretty grimy sort of evening for them as well. Like it won't be easy for them to keep going against us either. Then yeah, probably there is something in that. And like you can't underestimate like the impact of having 3 away games on the trot. Like it is difficult. It's hard. It's hard to manage. Like even just in terms of basic things like. Managing like a schedule for that, because like where do they train? Like do they go back up north and then come back down for Tuesday? I don't know. Like you mentioned, are you clutching at straws? I think I'm clutching at straws. Got a big old handful of straws I'm clutching out there with that sort of talk. But I do think there's something in that. I just think that like they have players who are good enough, experienced enough, and dangerous enough that probably a couple of days extra rest for us, it doesn't win us the game on its own. There's still a lot of hard work to be done.
Yeah, it's true. Without going all Jake Humphries, it's maybe at best a little marginal gain, but we've still got to do a lot in the 90 minutes to actually win it. Are we going to win it, Tom? What's your prediction? And also, while you're there, I know you kind of mentioned the lineup there. Do you see him just going straight swap, Apri Lavery, I assume Eastwood in goal? I mean, Walton is still there on loan. He doesn't have to play. The stipulation is that an emergency loan keeper has to play the next fixture. Has to. But assuming he doesn't need to play on Tuesday, but do you just go straight back to Eastwood, who's obviously been a sort of ever present all season, or do you go with Walton?
A selection headache in nets at this point in the season is not what I wanted, to be honest. No. It's probably not what Neil Harris wanted either. Because the honest answer is, I don't really know. Like we had this chat before the game actually with a couple other pals I was on the way to, and it was like, but if he performs really well here and keeps a clean sheet and makes a couple of good saves, like you wonder like, does he just deserve another opportunity? But the flip side of that is like, and does it give you a bigger chance of winning this game over Eastwood coming back in? I don't know. I think it'd be really harsh on Eastwood. I thought it'd be really harsh on Hughes not to play him as well, by the way. So that doesn't have too much of an impact on things. But I think with Eastwood available, I think you probably just bring him back in. Like he's been good for us. He's been good for us. Virtual season. All right, there's been a couple of hairy moments recently, but it is what it is. I think you take the rough with the smooth with keepers at this level. Like if they're going to have 40 good games, probably there's going to be a couple of clangers in there, and hopefully he's got those out of the way now. And again, resting, that sort of stuff. Like he's obviously had a game off, so maybe he'll be more mentally fresh to come back into it. But I don't really know in goal, to be honest. I have to say as well, I don't think either of them would be a bad option. I don't have any situation. I mean, it'd be pretty mad if you started Ben Hughes in goal. That's the only thing that really would be.
That would be mental. That would be so funny now.
But like that aside, I think I'd be fairly happy if Walton starts. You can make a case for that. Be very equally happy if Eastwood starts. You can certainly make more than a case for that as well. The other part of it, I think, is obviously the other 10. Don't really see too much changing with the back five necessarily. I could maybe see Brophy coming in for Mayer because I thought Mayer was really struggling actually on Thursday at points, and obviously he himself has come off the back of a lot of football after a fairly long period out. So maybe if you're talking in terms of freshness, in terms of minutes, Brophy's not a bad option there. Someone who carries the ball well, someone who keeps the ball well, will get us up the pitch when he does get it. I guess the argument there is would you by choice leave a player of Adam Mayer's quality out of the starting 11? That's probably harder to believe, to be honest. Apre will obviously come back in for Lavery unless Lavery miraculously has recovered over the last few days. But again, his reaction kind of, to me, said everything about what we should expect to see from him for the rest of the season. Then it's all about the two behind the striker. I think a lot of that will depend on the decision between Mayer and Brophy. I wouldn't be surprised to see Kai drop out, to be honest, and Mayer moves up and Brophy comes in. And then the rest of it, I think it'll be basically virtually the same. Although I realise in doing that, I'll probably name about 3 or 4 changes. But yeah, I think that'll pretty much be it. I think the obvious change is Apre coming in. You can flip a coin between Eastwood and Walton, and then it's just about, do you start Brophy or not? And if you do, what do you do with the two behind the striker? So that's my tuppence on it. And I know the next question is going to be about a prediction, and I think every time I've been pushed for a prediction, I said exactly the same thing. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty nervous. But I think we'll have enough. I think at this point, you've got to be positive with it. And, obviously the maths, again, is simple. If we win our next 2 or 2 of the remaining 3, we'll go up. It'd be great to do it on our own patch. And I think Tuesday will be the one big step towards that. So, yeah, I think we'll have enough. I think we'll get the win that we so crave. And it'll set us up for a hell of an afternoon and a hell of a weekend at the Abbey. All things going well next week.
I'm going 1-0 U's as well. I'm on that train. With the strikers, I was just thinking, did we have it confirmed that Kouassi is out for the season? Was that like in confirmation, or was it just like he's picked something else up again, a bit vague in that?
I don't know. I've assumed it.
I've assumed it too, but I just can't remember it being like specifically communicated.
Evidently, that's not like medical science. That's not a diagnosis. That's just me going, think he's out, think he's injured. So yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I mean, that'd be great. I mean, I think I'd be, if you want me to make a prediction on that, I would probably say that I reckon if we need something at Crewe, one of Kouassi or Lavery make the bench. That'd be my guess.
Wow. Lavery fucking wheeled out in crutches. Yeah, hobbling around. Love that. Well, we shall see, Tom. Let's try and enjoy Tuesday, shall we?
Yeah, it's been good. Hopefully the next time we're sat here recording, it'll be with smiles on our faces. But yeah, we'll have to see how it all goes.